We're here today to celebrate the Fair Housing Month. The entire month of April is dedicated to fair housing. On behalf of the Mayor and City Council, thank you all for coming out tonight. We have a very informative program for you all tonight. We're going to hear from representatives from the Maryland Department of Community Development, the Prince George County Department of Housing and Community, Department of Directors from Laurel ECD, and Budget and Finance. We'll take questions and answers at the end of this program. I want to acknowledge all the elected officials here. Please stand and be recognized. We have Jeffrey Mills, Councilman from Ward 2. Thank you for coming out, sir. So everybody asks, what is fair housing? Fair housing. The Fair Housing Act prohibits discrimination in housing because of race, color, national origin, religion, sex, identity, and sexual orientation, disabilities, and sales and rental mortgage, lenders, and insurance coverage. This year, we commemorate 56th-year anniversary of the passage of the Fair Housing Act, the landmark civil rights bill that was signed by President Lyndon B. Johnson on April 11, 1968. It's called the Act in Action. The United States Department of Housing and Urban Development is responsible for enforcing any illegal acts in housing. We're going to talk about solutions to fair housing as well. So we're going to show a quick video. Now we show the quick video. We're going to go into our next presentation. So thank you all for coming out and looking forward to a robust discussion.
Hello and welcome to History Pod. On the 11th of April 1968, the Fair Housing Act, also known as Title VIII of the Civil Rights Act of 1968, was signed into law by President Lyndon B. Johnson. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 had outlawed discrimination based on race, colour, religion, sex, or national origin. Nevertheless, significant obstacles remained for minorities who were attempting to secure equal housing rights. Despite their contributions to the American effort during the Second World War and the ongoing Vietnam War, racial minorities were still subject to overt discrimination when attempting to rent or purchase homes in residential areas. Organisations that included the National Association for the Advancement of Coloured People and the GI Forum lobbied extensively for federal fair housing legislation, but despite the Fair Housing Act first being put to Congress in 1966, it was met with resistance that stalled its passage. However, over the next 2 years, the national atmosphere began to change, and in the aftermath of the race riots of 1967's Long Hot Summer, the Kerner Commission report strongly recommended equal housing legislation. On the 4th of April 1968, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a vocal supporter of the bill, was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee. His death prompted riots that spread across the country, amidst which President Lyndon B. Johnson urged Congress to pass the bill promptly as testament to King and his legacy. Despite further attempts to delay the legislation, an hour of debate on the 10th of April led to the House approving the bill by a vote of 250 to 172. Johnson signed it into law the next day, just 2 days after King's funeral. The act made it illegal to discriminate regarding the sale, rental, or financing of housing based on race, religion, or national origin.
Next presenter will be from the Community Department of Housing.
How's it going? My name is Alvaro. I work for the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development. I'm here to talk about some programs that you can use to do improvements to your home, or foreclosure prevention programs, or energy efficiency programs. So for the first couple programs are for home repairs and upgrades. The first program is the Maryland Whole Home. This is a loan and grant program. This is for you to do necessary upgrades to your home or enhancements to lower your utility bills or just improve the quality of life in your home. So with this program, it comes with either a grant or a loan or a mixture of both. If you don't qualify for the grants, the interest rate for the loans from 0% to 4%, and it could be deferred up to 15 years. So the Approved projects that you can do with this program is plumbing and septic repairs, roof repairs and replacement, correct building code violation, reduce, eliminate lead paint hazards, repair, replace your porch, address structural or maintenance issues. So the benefit to using this program is that if you don't have the funds to do any projects or any big projects like replacing a roof, I would definitely reach out and try to apply for some funds, grants. You don't have to pay that back. Loans you do, but at least the interest rates are comfortable for you to stay in your home and get the necessary upgrades to your home. You can also do energy efficiency improvements, so you can install Energy Star appliances, improve air quality by replacing your HVAC system or AC system, retrofit lighting, install energy conservation materials or insulation. That's a big driver of energy costs in homes. Most homes don't have the necessary insulation, so if you get the necessary upgrades to your insulation system, you can lower your monthly energy bill. You can seal air and whole house envelope and upgrade and repair HVAC systems, clean furnaces, improve heating or cooling functions. The next program is Accessible Homes for Seniors. This is specifically for seniors, as the title states. This is also a loan and grant program. This is for anybody who's 55 or older to get any upgrades done to their home, or some upgrades done to their home, such as installing handrails, installing chair lifts in their homes, winding doors, installing ramps throughout the outside of their house or inside. And it's just for you, for seniors, to make their homes more accessible so they can stay there for the rest of the lives. And for the majority of people, they'll get grants for this program if they qualify for the grants. And you can get up to $25,000 as a grant for this program. If you don't qualify for the grant, you get a 0% interest-free loan for 30 years. Like I said, you have to be 55 or older. You must own and occupy the house that you are trying to do the renovations in. And it must be structurally sound, free of health and safety hazards. And you cannot have any outstanding liens in that home or be bankrupt or foreclosing on that home. And you must meet the income requirements. Lead hazard reduction is another program. It's a loan and grant program. This program is just to reduce lead paint hazards throughout the homes. This is a big problem around Baltimore. So, if you need to get rid of the lead paint around your home, this is a good program to tap into. Like I said, it's a loan and grant program. And you must meet a Maryland resident, and you must fall 80% or below the area median income to qualify for this program, unless the property is within a targeted area. So eligible improvements for this program, you can do door and window treatments or replacement, floor treatments, or any innovative lead hazard reduction method, which is approved by the department, and any lead-related costs required to meet the lead dust clearance requirements. All right, so energy efficiency programs. We have the Be Smart Home Loan. This is strictly a loan, but it's meant for you if you want to get upgrades done to your home. So like appliances, windows, window washer, fridge, stuff like that. You have to get a minimum loan of $5,000, and it has to be Energy Star approved in order to use this program. The rate is 6.99 APR, and you can get up to $30,000 to use to get upgrades. You must be a Maryland homeowner. You must have a credit score of 640 to qualify or greater, and must not have a debt-to-income ratio that exceeds 50%. So approved things you could do with this program is install insulation or air ceilings, change Energy Star heating and cooling systems, install Energy Star hot water heating systems, Energy Star appliances, roofing, windows, doors, lighting and controls, Change your programmable smart thermostats, ceiling fans, or geothermal heat pumps, or other improvements identified in a certain energy audit. So weatherization assistance program, this is a free program, but you must meet the income requirements. And it's just to get necessary upgrades done to people's homes to reduce heating and cooling costs through energy conservation measures. So you can do necessary upgrades, blower door air infiltration reduction, insulation in the attic floor walls, hot water system improvements, lighting retrofit, furnace clean, tune-up, safety repairs, burner retrofit or replacement, health and safety items. MEEP is a federally funded program that operates year-round to assist Maryland households free of charge. So this is if your heating goes out during the winter, we'll come out and send a licensed contractor to come see what are the necessary things that you need to get done to your home. And they will let you know if you need to get replaced or repaired, and then they'll determine what they can do. And from there, they'll immediately send the estimate back to us and then try to get the repairs done. And then during the summer, it's the opposite. If your AC breaks down, they'll just determine if it needs to get replaced or repaired, and then they'll send the estimate to us, and then from there, they will do the necessary repairs. So foreclosure prevention, we have housing counselors and housing counselor network. They're throughout the whole state. They can help you with a variety of things. So for one, they can help you with foreclosure prevention. Secondly, they can help you achieve home ownership if you're not a homeowner. They teach the first-time home buyer programs, classes that teaches you about the whole home buying process from start to end, and just teaches you about what a realtor does, what a title agent does, what loan programs are to help you. And then they can also help you determine if owning a home is right for you at the moment. They can help you improve your financial capabilities by helping you reduce your debt, sitting down with you, and just talking about your whole finances, from why so much money is going out on one end or another, and they'll try to help you raise your credit score and lower your debt overall. So on the foreclosure prevention side, they can help you if you're falling behind on your mortgage payments. So I would definitely talk with a housing counselor if you are near going into foreclosure. And they can help you find a solution that works best for you. So they know about the federal programs, state programs, or local programs. So counseling, like I said, they can help you just in general, teach you about your finances, how to save better, how to get out of debt, and then make a plan long term to stay out of debt and, be financially free. And then if you are going to foreclosure, they can help you avoid foreclosure scams. Like I said, they can tell you what are the programs that are available to you. And if you can't avoid foreclosure, they can help you transition to another home. So we do have a network of nonprofit lawyers that help you with mediation. So if you are going to foreclosure, they can put a freeze on your foreclosure, but you have to file within 25 days after your mortgage company sends you a file to foreclose. And then they will mediate between you and your mortgage company to talk about what are the options to see how you can get out of that situation. And then, like I said, so you do have to submit a $50 non-refundable fee to the circuit court to formally file a request for mediation. And you only have 25 days. If you go over the 25 days, unfortunately, there's not much that can be done. And then avoid fraud if you are going foreclosure prevention, any misrepresentation or omission of information during the mortgage process is fraud. You have the right to sue anybody who commits fraud against you during the mortgage transaction. Be aware of any situations that involve someone advertising, sending an email, or coming to your door offering a way out or rescuing you from foreclosure. These rescue scams are illegal. There's never any fees when you ask for assistance or information from a HUD-approved counselor or a lender. Never sign over your deed to any other person or organization unless you are working directly with your mortgage lender or attorney. Never submit mortgage payments to anyone other than mortgage lender approval. And then there's information on the back with everything I talked about. Check our website, dhcd.maryland.gov. All the information I talked about is there.
Thank you for that presentation. Like I said, this month is Fair Housing Month, and we want to also make sure that people can stay in their houses. They need repairs done to their houses. That's why we invited our community partners to come out to talk about the different programs, the weatherization program, the financial assistance program, the mediation program, all these programs that keep an individual in the house through the Fair Housing Act. We want to make sure our community know these things. And so I want to thank you, Alvaro, for the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development. Our next presenter is the director, last name is Expolide. I mispronounced, I'm so sorry. She's the director of the Prince George County Department of Housing and Community Development. So once again, we're talking to our community partners about Fair Housing Act, how we can keep staying in our house, and what the resources are available in our community for our constituents. So the floor is yours, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Oh, great.
Just press it one time. You're good.
Okay, great. You can hear me now?
Yeah, they can.
Okay, great. So I'll tell you a little bit about our department, and so you can know of the efforts to increase the supply of quality homes for people of all incomes in the county. And then we also do have some direct service programs as well, but you heard from the state of Maryland as well. So everything we do, we really work hand in hand with the state of Maryland and the private sector to accomplish. So in the summer of 2021, as part of the county's economic development platform, the county executive set explicit goals around affordable housing production and preservation in the county. And that is because having a house that people can afford is actually an economic development strategy. When we talk about building hospitals, bringing the FBI in the county, all the exciting economic development efforts, we have to make sure that we also have housing for everybody who will work there, from the surgeons and the doctors to the people who will work in the cafeteria and the people who will clean the facilities. And so making sure that we produce and preserve affordable housing in the county is a cornerstone of the county's economic development platform and something that our department works hand in hand with other agencies to accomplish. And so we see our role as the agency that works with mission-driven development developers, both for-profit and non-profit, and the public sector, the state of Maryland and HUD, and also the private sector to attract the capital we need to build quality homes. And our funding priorities are projects close to the metro stations, DOD locations, so we can also make sure that we build sustainably and we decrease the need for cars as we grow. And then we target units that are what we call below 50% of area median income. That doesn't mean that we don't build a mix of units, but we want to make sure that there are actually incorporated within each development some units that will address people who are at the 50% of area median income. And as a reference, the DMV is a very high cost area. So when we are talking about 50% AMI units, those are your colleagues. I know there are my colleagues. And so we're really targeting building homes for everybody who wants to call the county home and work here. And of course, we adhere to very high standards of energy efficiency and sustainable design, and we work very closely with the state of Maryland on that. And so what are our tools that helps us do these things? We do have a funding source from the federal government called HOME, the Home Investment Partnership Fund. And a couple of years ago, our council actually passed legislation and created a predictable funding source at the local level called Housing Investment Trust Fund. So every year, 20% of the recordation taxes, or a minimum of $10 million is set aside to fund the Housing Investment Trust Fund, which is something we use for creating and preserving both rental and affordable homeownership opportunities. And then pilot, payment in lieu of taxes. So we have the ability, of course, after council approval, to provide some deferral of taxes for the county's portion of the development in order to help attract additional private capital and build those new developments. And I did put down there a site that the state of Maryland has, because what does that actually mean for you, right? If you want to find affordable housing homes in the county, or actually in the state of Maryland, you go to that website and you put the zip code that you would like to know what housing is available, and all the developments will pop up and you will be able to see what is available. So every time we fund something and we support something at the local level, most of the times that development also has state support. So it makes it to that database regardless. But even when we do projects that do not have the state's money, we still work closely with the state to make sure that they make it to this inventory. So that's a useful source for the community. I'm not going to bore you with that. That is just to demonstrate that is both lengthy and it requires a lot of partners in order to go from zero to actually having a quality, affordable housing development in a community. We do screen the potential projects in the county that come our way for the purposes of, do they meet the county's priorities? Are they well designed? Are they well located? And then we provide them with letters of support. Then they go to the private sector and to the state of Maryland to attract additional money, because really our tools are very important, but they're a small piece of the big pie. What we call ourselves is the but for. So but for us putting that investment, the development would not have happened. But it does mean that they have to go attract all these other resources. So a process like this from beginning to end can take anywhere between 3, 5, or 7 years. And we do want to make sure that at least our portion of the job is not what makes things harder. Also, it's very important to know that our council passed legislation called CB 51 that requires county-based businesses and hiring and employees to work on the projects that we fund and that have county support. And then we also follow Section 3 for the projects that have federal resources like home money. And that's important because building new homes, it's also creating jobs for the community. And that is something we have in our website, and I encourage all of you to take a look. You can go in our website and see a dashboard. We have all the projects that have either been completed or that are currently underway, under construction, or that will start construction very soon, meaning they have received funding support from Prince George's County. You can see all of those projects, and you can click in the dots and see exactly the name, how many units they're going to be, and much more detail on that. And we update that quarterly, so that's another resource. And we also take seriously the preservation component, both on the rental and on the homeownership. So we have a program called Right of First Refusal program. So every time there is a property in Prince George's County that changes hands, that transacts, a multifamily property of over 20 units, our department has the ability to step in and assign the purchase rights of that property to one of our qualified mission-driven development partners, who will purchase it for the same price it was going to sell. And in exchange, we are placing affordability covenants in some of the units, and we are also looking at critical repairs the property has. And that is because in Prince George's County, we still have what we call NOAH, naturally occurring affordable housing. But we see that it's a disappearing asset. And a lot of times, as the properties transact, there are a lot of capital improvements. They bring the property at a different status, and then the rents go up, and then people who already live there can no longer afford it. And so that is a program that is tailored specifically to address what happens at those moments. And since we launched the program, we have had great success. It's been, I think the first deal we did was in March of 2021. So very recently, and since then, we have been able to preserve over 1,800 NOAA units in Prince George's County and do it comprehensively, do it by looking at deferred maintenance and capital needs, which don't happen overnight in an occupied property, but there is at least a strategy there. And also there is the compliance component that our department brings into fruition. And that is, I wanted to put this slide because that's very telling of who lives there. So if you are a person of a household of one, you make about 63,000 or below based on the current trends. And if you are a household of two, you make about 72,000 and below. So this is a good snapshot to say this is really our workforce. So it's very important that as we grow together and not only increase the quality supply, but also have a strategy in the preservation of the existing supply. And very much like the state of Maryland, although they have a very robust program and we love working very closely with them in enhancing our tools, we also have our homeownership opportunity programs. So one of them is called Pathway to Purchase, and that is for down payment assistance for households earning up to 80% of median household income. And we, within the last year, increased that amount from 10,000 to 25 because the interest rates started increasing, and we saw that what we were given before wasn't enough. And we also partnered with the state of Maryland that has a program called MMP. And so if someone wants to go through the state of Maryland and access that resource as well, that's great. They can also come and access our resource. So we can add our program on top of that. But if they just want to work through our program, they just come to us. And we implement this program in partnership with the RDA in the county, the Redevelopment Authority. And then we have two other programs that are addressing capital needs and repairs in homes of existing homeowners. One is called HRAP. We love acronyms, and I know it's confusing. It's the Home Rehabilitation Assistance Program, and that program is implemented through the Housing Initiatives Partnership, HIP. So our department funds it. We work with them for the regulations to make sure the deployment of the resources is accurate, but they're the boots on the ground working with the homeowners to address critical repairs, weatherization, all the things you heard before for their homes. And the other program, which is newer, we launched it a couple of years ago through the ARPA funds the county got, and now we're continuing it through the Housing Investment Trust funds. It's called HOPE, Home Rehabilitation Homeownership Preservation Program, and we implement this in partnership with Habitat. I have left flyers on the back for all of those things because it has a lot of contact information of how you go about accessing that. And it is a very similar program, parallel, and we just grew another program to make sure that we can address the needs of more people. What is unique about HOPE is that Habitat works very closely with an occupational therapist, so we address a lot of accessibility requirements so people can actually age in their homes as time goes by. And what we launched was also in partnership with HIP and Habitat. Actually, HIP and Habitat implements this is home maintenance workshops. They happen every 2 months. They're mandatory for everybody who uses our programs, but they're also open to the public. And so you can go there and have a class for free around weatherization and how you do seasonal maintenance, all the things that we sometimes find out that people, when they are not able to keep up as they should, then the maintenance issues and the deferred maintenance becomes a larger issue. We also administer the Community Development Block Grant Program. This is not for direct service to individuals, but municipalities, nonprofit organizations apply to us for funding once a year that we have available through the CTBG program to do different kinds of community development and revitalization activities in their community. So I think it's important for you to know that in case there are nonprofit developers who want to access this resource too. And I just put a couple of projects as an example of both the quality of the projects we support in the county and also the resources. And you can see how a little bit of our resources plus our pilot brings so much investment in the county and quality homes for a lot of people. And that's recently completed as well. And that is a family unit. The other two were seniors. And I also want to leave you with our contact information because I know this is a lot of information. But if you, for any general questions around legislative matters or any community concerns, Alexis Yeoman is our public information officer. But any housing development programs you want to learn more about or you have more questions, Pam Wilson is our Chief Housing Development Manager. LaShawn Murphy is our CTBG Program Manager in case you want to have a technical assistance around that program. And Ashley Johnson-Hare is our Deputy Director. More importantly, on the left, if you subscribe to my PG, besides looking at our website that has much more information about all of those things, if you subscribe to my PGC, down there with that link, you will get notices all the time about these programs. Every time we issue a notice of funding availability, we let you know. Every time we launch a new program, we let you know. So I think that's the safest way to have access to all the housing opportunities in the county. And I also included the ERAP, Emergency Rental Assistance Call Center number. Our department, before COVID, our department didn't do rental assistance. That falls under DSS, the Department of Social Services. But during COVID, there was an influx of ERAP funds, and we were very fortunate to attract a large amount of that we used during the COVID period to help people remain housed. But thanks to the support of the state of Maryland and Treasury, we did receive additional resources. And so we still have a little bit of money to help those facing eviction. So we are no longer in this COVID era where people have to stay home, but there are still people who face a financial hardship and may be eligible for that. So I want to make sure that if people are facing an eviction, they should call our call center. And we will continue deploying these funds until they run out. And I think that's the last slide I have. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentation. And once again, we're talking about fair housing. We're marking the 56th anniversary of the Fair Housing Act that was signed by President Johnson, April 11, 1968. And at that time, our country was in turmoil, and we continue to find better ways to increase the equity in our country. And that's why we bring our community departments here tonight to talk about the resources you can get from the state of Maryland, the resources you can get from Prince George County. But before I go into Director Love, I just want to read something to you right fast. Governor Moore signed the housing legislation to make affordable housing in the state of Maryland. And I'm going to read something that Governor Moore quoted. He said, "We made the choice to put housing front center this year because we know that the issue can't wait. Building a stronger housing market can't wait. Tackling the housing shortage of 96,000 units in Maryland can't wait," said Governor Moore. "We introduced the most competitive housing package of any Maryland administration in recent history, and we are unapologetic about it. So we know that housing is 30% of our income going to housing, and we know housing is expensive. And so that's why we got our community departments here to talk about if you own a house, the resources you can do to stay in your house, to repair things that are broken in your house. And also Director Love is going to talk about, and Director Sale is going to talk about the programs that the city of Laurel has. We heard from our Maryland partners, we heard from our county partners, and now we're going to hear from our city partners, our city workers, things that we have in place, legislation we have in place for our seniors, our veterans, and housing units we have in place here. So once again, we're celebrating 56 years of the Fair Housing Act, and we wanted to get the information out to the public because this is a landmark bill. There was 3 landmark bills that actually changed the course of the country for African Americans: the 1964 Civil Rights Bill, the 1965 Voting Rights Bill, and the 1968 Fair Housing Bill signed by President Johnson. So those 3 bills just changed the direction of Black African Americans in this country. And we still have a problem with housing today. And so with Governor Moore saying that we're 96,000 housing short in Maryland, he asked each municipality, each county to address their zoning code to find ways that we can make more affordable housing inside our country and our county. And so that's what the city of Laurel is doing. And that's what we have in this housing summit, commemorate the 56th-year anniversary of the Fair Housing Act. And with that said, I turn it over to Director Saylor.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. The information I have to share this evening, I'll start with a press release from the state of Maryland, which is on the city website. I have paper copies, but it is a full length, and all of the links to the state sites are included on the city's copy. But I just want to bring to everyone's attention a program with the state of Maryland that I think most people don't know about, and that is a renter's property tax credit program. Now, this is income-based, and if you're under 60 years old, you would have to have a dependent living with you in the residents, but that isn't an option, an opportunity. And again, on the city's website, there will be a link to that program. So I just wanted to share that information. Also for renters, for property owners of a rental building of 25 units or less, they can apply for a tax credit with the city for units that are occupied by a senior citizen of 65 years or older, or a disabled person that's under 65. And the idea is that the property owner would receive a tax credit for the prorated share of the taxes for that unit, with the understanding that that renter will pay a reduced rate. So the property tax owner could actually receive up to a 50% tax reduction for the for each unit that is rented with a reduced rental rate for the qualified residents. And that was in our Ordinance 1990. Ordinance 1928, passed by the mayor and city council, provides for a real estate tax credit for public safety officers. So these are police officers, fire, rescue, EMT that own and live in a property in the city of Laurel, but they have to work for a city agency. So it couldn't be a county sheriff that would get a city of Laurel real estate tax credit. It would have to be a Laurel police officer or an active member of the fire department or rescue squad. But we do have that, and it's up to $2,500, dependent upon the city's portion of the tax bill. Ordinance 2003, updated from Ordinance 1927, when the state changed the law to allow us to offer the tax credit for elderly and veterans. If you are, again, these have to be owner occupied, as most programs, 65 years or older. You have had to have owned your property for at least 10 years, and then you can get a 20% tax credit. Again, we're only authorized to give credits on our portion of your tax bill. So that's what that would be. 65 or older, you're living in your property for 10 years, you can get a 20% tax credit. Currently, that's up to 5 years would be the limitation on that credit, but we're looking into ways to extend that, because after 5 years, you have to go back to paying your full tax bill. I'm sure most seniors are not in a position to do that. And I have with me all the applications, copies of the ordinances, and the instructions to complete. So if you are eligible or you know anyone that should be taking advantage of these credits, I'll have the copies in the back and be happy to answer any questions about them later after the presentations. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Director Sale, for the presentation. Once again, we take tax credits in the city of Laurel, a police officer, a retired veteran. Please contact Director Sale's office. Our next presenter is going to be Director Love of Economic Community Development Department. And Director Love is going to talk about a few things that we offer inside the city of Laurel about housing. So Dr. Love, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Just kind of want to build based on the several ordinances that we had in place that supports affordable housing. This is both rental and for sale affordable housing. Just kind of do a quick history of kind of where we came from this. So Ordinance 1584 first established our moderately priced dwelling units, and at the time was 80% of the median household income in Prince George's County. And that was passed in March of 2008. And then not too long after, in November 2008, we established the workforce dwelling units, which were at 70% of the median household income in Prince George's County. And these were for multifamily units. And there are several apartment units currently within the City of Laurel complexes that are under this original bill. Those were the Evolution at Town Center, the Duval West Side, and the Avalon at Laurel, which have a total of 69 affordable units in them combined currently within the city. We modified the ordinance to bring down some of those percentages in ordinance number 1830. That was passed in February 2015. What that did is that took that moderately priced dwelling unit percentage requirement of 80% and it actually lowered it to 60% of the median household income in Prince George's County. Likewise, it lowered the workforce dwelling unit down from 70% down to 50% of the median household income in Prince George's County. That's opening up to more people within the city. And then also it also required new multifamilies that come in to include 3% of the workforce housing had to be of the total units, and then 3% of the total had to be of the moderately priced units within the building. Then again, we took a look at the ordinance again, and in ordinance 1962 that was in November 23rd of 2020. We added what was called age-restricted housing. That's housing for folks 55 and older. And we looked at that as the same sort of income as, say, the moderately priced. So we put that at the 60% of median income within Prince George's County. And then the big portion of that, we upped the percentages required of any new multifamilies to provide affordable housing. At that is any dwelling unit, a multifamily dwelling unit of over 100 or over dwelling units required to provide 4% workforce housing, 4% moderately priced, and then 4% of the age-restricted housing within their units in order to build within the city of Laurel. So upped it from 6% to 12%. Then ordinance 1989, we took a look at current existing multifamilies of 25 or less. Director Saylor touched on it for a minute. That was those ones that are 25 or less were eligible for a tax credit of up to 50%. Based on every unit that you put in to your currently existing multifamily. We realize that we're kind of running out of a little bit of room here in the city, and we're looking at what's the already established multifamilies to see if that's something that they can start providing some affordable housing on their end. And then lastly, we're very excited about Ordinance 2018, which was passed in October of 2023, established our first for sale affordable housing within the city. And how that worked was for residential developments that included a minimum of 50 single family detached, townhouse and or condominium dwellings or residential portions of a mixed-use development. They were required to have a minimum of 8% of their dwelling units had to be affordable units. And how we define that is those who are eligible shall have a household income of no more than 60% of the median income in Prince George's County. And then those prices of the houses can be no more than 30% of the median price of the similar houses within the development. So we're very excited about that. We have some developments that are on tap that would utilize this program and provide the first for sale affordable housing within City of Laurel.
Thank you, Dr. Cloud. I want you to go back over that program again, because I think that's very important to highlight that. We talk about equity in housing, right? How do we get rich? Real estate is one of the richest, fastest way to get rich. Owning property, your equity in your house. And not only we have affordable housing for rent, most folks say that's not enough, but we're probably one of the only municipalities inside Prince George County to have that. And so I want to commend you, Dr. Love, on your leadership for getting that program started. But I want you to just highlight that the ordinance we passed in ordinance 2018. That's the correct number, I believe?
Correct, yes.
Yeah, just talk about that ordinance again. Like you're talking about, you get an opportunity for someone to buy a home. So we wrote, City of Laurel, the Mayor and City Council passed that legislation. That's like your first year school teacher, your first year police officer, your first year person in a career, they can buy a house at a percentage that might cost someone who make $120,000 the regular price, $450,000, whatever the case may be. But that person on a certain income bracket can buy that house at 30%. You know, it's a good deal, because the whole deal is to create economic wealth and create housing for people. And I think that's what we have to do as legislators. We have to find creative ways to help people get housing, help people afford housing. So just highlight that program again for me, please.
Sure. Like I said, it's going to be, if it's a minimum of 50 homes, you have to do that, and it's going to be at that 60% of median income for homeowners. We said it can be no more than 30% of the median price. I think the big thing to also highlight in this is that those houses it's in perpetuity that those are affordable houses. Those are, there's not going to be a case where within 5-10 years someone sells and they sell it at the market value. It's going to be at whatever these percentages are. So that's going to remain in perpetuity. And it's going to have to be sold to someone else who meets that criteria. And that's just to ensure that, there's always some affordable housing within the city, within those developments.
Thank you. Before we go to question and answer, I want to, sad news we have here today. Director Love, been with us for the past 6 years. I came here as a planner, correct? Or he came as a
Deputy Director.
deputy director. He came as a deputy director. He's moving on to other things in his life, and just want to thank him for his years of service here at the city of Laurel. His last day is Friday. He put this program together. This is the first time the city of Laurel ever had a fair housing summit. It was Director Love vision with my vision as well. So just want to thank you for all the hard work you've done for this. This is, like I said, this is more of an information session. We want folks to know out there that, if you need help from Prince George County, you help from the state of Maryland, you have a house, where the resources are located, how you can get those resources. Now, we don't necessarily look at how many people attend. We worry about the information that we're putting out for the community. And that's what we're all about, just trying to educate our community and help them inform that we know there's a problem out there with housing. We know that the federal government is working on housing. I'm going to read a quote, not a quote, but under the President Biden budget, FY 2025, President Biden had put a historical investment, $258 billion, that would preserve over 2 million houses, 2 million units. That's what President Biden, he knows there's a housing shortage. Governor Moore says a housing shortage. We all know there's a housing shortage. The city of Laurel know that we got to make legislation for people to get in a house. So the whole country is aware of all of these things. And so we just going to have to, and once I just said something else about this, right? President Biden also extended that low-income housing tax credit, proposed a neighborhood home tax credit, which would enable better affordable housing buyers, injected $16 billion in that program. So I can just go on and on and on, but the whole President Biden administration for FY 2025 know there's a housing problem in the United States. He putting $258 billion into his budget to address the housing crisis in here. And that housing crisis is going to, all these different programs going to have for folks to get housing along in the United States. So with that said, we're going to open up any questions we have. You can come up to the mic and just state your questions to either person. We got the Prince George housing over here. We have the Maryland community engagement over here. And of course, you got Director Love and Director Saylor on the end. So you can address your question to either one of us when you come up, if you have any questions. So mic is open.
Is it on? Can you hear? Yeah. Okay, I'm Frans van Wagenburg. Yeah. Okay. I just have a question for Alvaro Callejas. The improvement loans, are they retroactive?
No, unfortunately, you have to have the project, and you have to get a contractor to come out and give you an estimate, and then from there, they will determine how much they can give you, determine on based on the size of the project, what type of project is going to get done, your income, and other factors.
But it has to be done in advance, not retroactively. Say if somebody did a year ago, or major improvements like you have in the CPACE programs, where you can retroactively apply credits. That doesn't apply here.
Unfortunately not.
No,
it's
just
you have to have the problem or the thing that you want to get fixed.
Right.
And then from there you can work. Unfortunately, you can't work backwards. Yeah.
Any limits on that?
I believe it's 50,000.
Okay.
But it depends on the project that you're going.
It's a certain percentage of the project, maybe, or
no, the whole project.
Okay, the whole project.
Yeah,
okay.
but it just it just depends on the project you're going to get done.
Yeah, and the approval process, if you ask for advance, how long does it take usually? Somebody has to come out, appraise.
It all depends on how quick you can get all the necessary documents to us.
Right.
But if it goes by quick, it can be in 2-3 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Of course.
Any other questions? You don't have any questions? We'll close out the ceremony. We don't want, not ceremony, we'll close out the presentation. Got ceremony on my mind, Don't be shy, we're here, so We're not gonna force you though, but we don't want to have dead time because we it's being recorded live, and so you're going to try to keep it going. Thank you.
Yes. Hello. Good evening. I'm Faith Ohai. I have I guess, comment and a question regarding the ordinances that require certain AMI. What is the incentive for the developers that want to develop in the city of Laurel in exchange for providing those dwelling units? And also, is there any reporting mechanism or system or requirement, maybe like a year after the developments are erected?
Right now, it's the incentive. It's just kind of built into our ordinance right now that if you want to build in and you meet that threshold, that's just the requirement that we have. It's a flowing document. We'll always look at it like that, but right now it's that. The recording of that is it's going to be through any sort of the deeds and so forth. We'll work with them. We'll work with the HOA and everybody else selling the house to keep track of those to make sure which units they are, their occupancy and so forth on that. That's what we do right now actually with the multifamily units too. We know exactly from the development from each of the apartment buildings what are open, what's not, what's available, those sort of things. So we keep those tracked.
Okay, great. And my comment was that my family moved to Laurel in the year 2000 from, we were living in an apartment closer in the Riverdale area, and got a little bit of money and was able to purchase a home in Laurel. So I know the benefits of home ownership, the benefit of quality of life. So I commend each of you and what you're doing on the state level, the county level, and the city level to give other residents that opportunity.
Add something to you said in the Senate. It's really our job as legislators it's got like a community benefit agreement. We want to tell folks, you want to build inside the city of Laurel, we want certain things, and that's what we want. We want certain percentage of housing for people can afford, because we have that as elected officials. We want to be able to write legislation to let people know that, hey, this is what we want to do, and it's a partnership, because it's like that private partnership. I just come from a conference last week, and they kept talking about private partnership. How do private companies work with municipal governments to increase housing for their residents? And those are some of the things like that. As legislators, we need to say, okay, you want to build in our city, these are some of the requirements that we want mandate, and that's our ordinance. So we have to pass an ordinance, and any legislator develop knows that they'll come inside the city of Laurel. This is what they go by until we change it. So I think it's going to be a great partnership, knowing that when they come into our city, these are the things that we expect. And plus, like I said, we need housing. We want people to be able to afford housing as well, because everybody don't make the same amount of money. Everybody should have a decent house to live in.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me go first. Councilman Mills, first I'd like to say thank you all for having this. I was very interested in just coming to getting educated, and your presentations were great. Yeah, and I wanted to say, Robert, we appreciate your time. I think I worked with you through every aspect of your tenure here. So I've seen your growth, and I wish you much success on your way. All right. And I wanted to, Director Sella, I spoke with you earlier today about the incentive for police officers and what was it? The EMT. Those resources, the incentives for them. I want to try to find the resources and funding for teachers also, that we could have those resources, that we can find teachers that live within the city limits that work for city schools, to have some type of incentive or grant or tax credit that they would be receiving, so that they can not have to come out their pocket, or if they do come out their pocket, because they come out their pocket all the time, and it's not fair that they receive a paycheck and then it's like a double dip, and it's not fair. So I want to see what we can do to assist teachers, again, that perhaps wish to live in the city to receive these tax credits or grant or some type of funding that we can provide to them and to add to that. So I really think that would be, something that we can attract and bring in revenue and keep our expenditures down. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank
All
you.
right.
As we discussed this afternoon, much of the tax credit legislation that the city passes is based on enabling legislation from the state of Maryland. So we'll look into make sure we haven't missed any tax credits available for teachers. I guess I would defer to Mr. Love if the affordable housing and the workforce housing includes teachers.
It's not specific to that, but I think it's something, it's just kind of generalized term. It's not specifically looking at teachers or anything to that effect. It's basically looking at the percentage and where you meet within that percentage of the income within Prince George's County.
So it would be possible to extend that olive branch out to educators?
I would think so. Like I said, ours is more generalized. I don't know, like you said, it's pretty much anybody that makes that income right now, but I know exactly what you're talking about to kind of pinpoint it a little more, much like you were saying, like the police.
Don't quote me, Mr. Councilman Mills, but all those things could be possible. But I know that I think the Prince George County public school system, because they do give tax credits to teachers who teach in Prince George County. That's an incentive as well. But I'll double check that for you. So it's like, because as you know, we don't control the school system. The county controls the school system, so teachers can live anywhere. I understand your point, though. But I believe there's something already in place. But we'll double check that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Sir, come on back. We like questions. We want to be informative.
No, actually, this is more a compliment.
Okay, we take compliments too.
Well, in the context of today's hearing, I think it's appropriate because Mr. Love is leaving us, or you, and all of us. And I represent the ownership of Corridor Center, which is developing with Pulte, one of the first projects, the first with the workforce housing, the affordable community, and the workforce housing components. So this is the first project that comes to the city under those rules. And since he's going to be away, and since the occasion, asked for it, I would want to compliment you, and we hope that project will go forward. So anyway, compliment to Mr. Love and the mayor.
Appreciate that. You never know who's in the audience. Thank you so much. Yes. If you don't have any other questions, we're going to close this presentation. We thank you all for coming out. And those that's listening at home, this presentation will be aired on Laurel TV. Hope it's very informative for you all. And once again, happy Fair Housing Month of April. Thank you all. Have a good night.
And if you look in the back, there are all the criteria back there, all the like the literature and so forth. I encourage you to take a bit of everything to take a look at that everybody brought. Thank you.